have Drew here, who's a lived example of someone who's been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and, had their struggles in the early days, as we touched on in episode 22. But now, he's a testament to a healthy, happy guy who's living with the condition. For many people who see people like Drew or, those cyclists in Team Novo Nordisk, it can be very empowering for a lot of people out there living with type 1 diabetes to see individuals who have overcome their, I guess you could say, handicaps or circumstances to achieve performance or achieve success or their physical performance goals. Was this ever a reason for you getting into that space and working with Team Novo Nordisk? That underdog mentality, or the fact that nobody really expects these athletes to win, considering they're coming up against, healthy or able-bodied athletes who don't have any things holding them back physically or in terms of their health. Was that something that made you intrigued or interested or motivated to get involved in this with this team?
I would say that my main motivation from the start was to learn from them, to understand what was going on. And then I would say that within the team, when you work with them, I never heard type 1 diabetes as an excuse, not even once. Never a single time was there, I would have done better in that race had I not had type 1 diabetes, or my training would be better if it wasn't for this. Whether it was something kind of agreed upon or just culturally within the team, you just never heard that. They were always pushing to get on the podium, always super disappointed if they didn't achieve those kind of things. So I don't think there's definitely not a feeling of kind of feeling sorry for yourself, but the type 1 diabetes is the thing that would bring them together. So they're all a very international team. Culturally, a lot of the riders don't have so much in common because they're from all different parts of the world, but it's the type 1 diabetes that brings them back together. And probably there is a case of proving something, like proving that we're not going to use this as an excuse, but we can still compete and also get on the podium and beat everybody else. So I think there's a mentality to definitely show people what you can do and above. And I've met a lot of people like that. A lot of people living with type 1 diabetes tend to be very determined. It's not just in sport. I've met a lot of people who've done kind of ultra endurance events. I've been speaking to somebody recently who wants to climb Everest. In academic work, you meet a lot of very high level academics with type 1 diabetes, a lot of very high achievers. So yeah, maybe there's something that comes with kind of having to be so switched on all of the time. I don't know if that's something that you've kind of encountered, Drew, yourself.
I think we'll bring Drew in here, because I was going to say to you, Drew, remember in the last episode, we talked about how you were saying that if you hadn't had this diagnosis, you probably wouldn't have been as on point with your health and managing your health as you would be now.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of things that I would love to double click on there. Number one is the mentality of never using diabetes as an excuse is something that I love to live by. In fact, as you just said, Hayden, it actually does the opposite for me. It allows me to have this extra motivation that most people probably don't have.